Ẹ̀lẹ́mbẹ̀ wo nílé lóko. Ẹ̀sìnkú dédé àsìkò yìí. Hey guys, it's Adura again. Today I'd like to talk about another Yoruba prayer. So I've done 3 so far, separate videos on, different prayers for different occasions. But I thought this one would be very suitable for the end of the year and the beginning of a new one. The title is Odun Yabo. And what does it mean when you pray that prayer? Odun Yabo. A longer version would be Odun Yabo funwa. What does that mean? Odun Yabo funwa. It's a prayer for a new year. So what does it mean? Odun is year. Odun is year. It could also be used in the context of, festivity. Let's say Odun Oshun. For example, it would be Oshun Festival. So it would be used in that context many times as well. Odun is year. A is will. Will is a good transliteration for A. Ya. Ya would be become or turn to. Ya, become or turn to. If you use ya in a different context, it could be tear. Ya Iwure, tear a book. But in this, it would always depend on the context. In this context, ya would be become or turn to. Abo is female. If you've seen, I think I've mentioned this prayer even in the video that I made on male and female. The words for male and female in Yoruba. Abo is female. Fun is for. Fun is for. Wa is us. Wa is us. So when you put these words together, these transliterated words, what would they mean in a standard sentence? Year will become or turn to female for us. When you transliterate first, it would be the year will become or turn to a female or female for us. The year will become or turn to a female for us. But you want to make that a standard sentence. So it would look something like this. The year will be feminine for us is the prayer. The year would be feminine for us. And why does the year have to be feminine? Like, why can't it be masculine? Like I was saying earlier, Abo is female. Abo, female. Ako is male. Ako could also be, in a separate context, ako would also be pride. So, masculinity and the ego, I guess, is what is being referenced. When you say ako as pride, it may not necessarily be a bad thing. The ako may not necessarily be a bad thing. Everyone should have a decent amount of self-pride and ego. Why does the year have to be feminine? Why does it have to be a female? Why does it have to be feminine? Like, what's the difference if it's feminine or masculine? Good question. The rationale behind this would be sort of related to the concepts of fertility and infertility. And very likely, gender-based characteristics or assumption of a person's character, depending on their gender. We believe that if the year is female, if the year is feminine, then it would be more fertile, because women are fertile, right? Women are sort of this fertile land that, when seeds are contributed from the other gender, could, result in multiplication. And what I'm referencing, of course, is birth, So, women have more fertile frames and many times even more creative minds. Again, this is not necessarily true. This is not me. This is just me telling you what the rationale behind Odún Yabo is. The males, on the other hand, are believed to be more, tough. Of course, infertile. Never seen a man give birth. A man that was born a man, I mean. So, more infertile. So, women are, multipliers. They're carers and they're nurturers. They try to make everything beautiful. They're more soft. They are kind. Not necessarily true. Not necessarily true. These are just, assumptions. When you see a woman, these are some of the things that you assume that she would be until you really know her. Then you're like, oh, I was very right. Or, well, I was very wrong. So it all depends on the person. And the males, on the other hand, are believed to be, tough and not so caring and not so fertile, not so soft. And you have to think back to why these assumptions were. Back then, women were primarily the carers. You can't judge the ancestors, I find, because their way of living and their way of thinking was totally different. But of course, that is why new generations come in every year to teach us new things and to help us evolve. So, but if we're still going to honor the ancestors, by speaking the languages that they taught us, of course, we can't survive without language. So we have them to thank for the language and the culture and many things. If you take everything 100%, then it's quite stupid. And if you leave everything 100%, in terms of their thoughts about gender and about how the world works, if you leave everything, then it's quite stupid as well. It's almost twice as stupid. So, if we kind of appreciate them for who they were. So these were the assumptions. And it wasn't just an assumption, it was the way of life. The men went out to hunt. There were women hunters, true, but it was seen as it's just like male nurses, they are smaller compared to female nurses. In terms of hunters, there were much, 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 much fewer hunters than men. And most of the time, they were either like children of great hunters or their wives or something to even be involved in hunting at all. So these reasons are why we pray that the year would be feminine. She would take care of us. She would be more mothering, more soothing, more soft, more easygoing, more giving, more sacrificial kind of thing. We get everything we want, and it's not so tough for us. It's not so hard on us. It's not the disciplinarian kind of year. It's the mothering, nurturing kind of year. Back then, if a child disobeyed their mother, mothers would often scare their children by saying, wait until your father comes. And I think even till now, it's seen in the culture in which the women use the men, like the fathers, as these figures that are not necessarily just as nurturing or just as attentive to but disciplinarian figures. Wait until your father comes and you see what he'll do to you. And so that scares the child and they start to behave well. So this was the image of the man, and it was, even masculinity was toxic for many of the men then, because they always had to prove that they were man. Shebi okuni, unnecessary bragado, So, but of course, we've changed so much from how we live in. So if you're a male and you go into the kitchen and you cook for your children, or you care for them, you give them kisses on their cheeks, or you sing to them, or you go to the market and you purchase toys for them, or you do things that traditionally it would have been the place of the woman to do. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just you're excellent. You're just as fine as everyone else. There's nothing wrong with that. Until I would say the beginning of this decade, if visitors came into your home, a traditional Yoruba home, and they saw the man in the kitchen, the reaction would be, the wife has bewitched the husband or done something, spiritual to make him dumb. That was the belief. When we say we mean the person has made vegetable soup and put some form of charm that sort of weakens the man and makes him dumber. That's the metaphor for. I will probably speak on it soon. That's the metaphor for otijefo. You've become a mumu, so to speak, for your wife when you're supposed to be like this bragado figure. So, why am I saying this? I'm just enlightening you on, why statements like this would have come to be. Why people would have even thought that, like, a year should be feminine, not masculine, on a person. I'm not saying that, caring and beauty and softness and multiplication and all these things are not necessarily things that should be ascribed to the woman. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that men embody these qualities too, and it's okay for them too. So if you go to a gathering of Yoruba people and you say Odun Ayako, everybody will be like, Kamari. Kamari. The hair would not be masculine, it has to be feminine. Each person, again, this is not a Yoruba belief necessarily, but each person is inherently feminine and masculine. Each person. You have a dose of each side. Now, both have to be balanced. It doesn't matter if you look feminine or you look masculine. Inwards, you are a perfect mix of. Well, you have to be able to blend both energies. If you're too masculine over feminine, then you are unnecessarily egotistical, and you are unnecessarily daring. You're necessarily mean. You're necessarily tough, and if you're too feminine, you're necessarily weak. You're too receptive. You don't take action much. You just let things happen to you. You don't do much. At every single thing you break down. At every single moment you break down. So a person should be able to balance both. A person should be able to balance both. And even though you identify as a man or you identify as a woman, recognize that you are both. Recognize when one is becoming more prevalent than the other and you're losing balance between both. And just be more open to what both sides of yourself have to teach you at different times. If you've been in a relationship, for instance, and you were more receptive, like you far too much embraced the feminine side of your character, much more than the masculine. Instead of finding a balance, you were on the more receptive side. You were basically the receiver of it all. You gave too much of yourself, and when you were supposed to speak up and say, oh no, that's trash, you were sort of more accepting of it. I guess love will do that too. And you embraced far too much than you should have. When relationships like that don't work, you then embrace the opposite side over instead of finding a balance, you then embrace the opposite side far too much than the feminine, and so you become unnecessarily really I guess, mean, and you don't want anyone to come closer. And instead of finding healing, you use the opposite side to cope, and you say, I don't need anybody, I don't need friends, I'm alone in this world, I'm tough. And who needs a partner, who needs love, who needs, I'm just good on my own, I'm a man now. So I'm my own man, which is good, but it's not necessarily good when what the masculine side overshadows the feminine. So to heal, you kind of have to find a balance between both. When to give, it's like I've talked about this when I talked about the Ashe video somewhat. So you have to find a balance between both sides of yourself to heal. You don't just take one over the other. Oh yeah, I found someone who loves me and so he treats me like a queen or whatever. So you let yourself be receptive, and you just basically kill your own active self to please the other person. When it doesn't work out, then you embrace the over masculine side. It's always good to find a balance between both. Hurt people. So when you're hurt like that, it's very likely that you would become meaner and more difficult to approach, and things like that. It's always good to find a balance between both. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to respond. I hope you have a good new year. pleasant one, a more prosperous one than it has been so far. I hope all your wishes come true. Ashe. And please share this video and leave your comments and ask questions and subscribe. And thank you so much. I don't know if it was sometime in November that I was looking at my subscriber count, and I was just randomly thinking, well, I hope I get to 7,000. At least when I'm counting my blessings for the year, I would have a rounded number. I hope I get to 7,000 before the year runs out. And when I saw over 7,000, I was like, oh my God, so fast. And December is not even over. Thank you so much. And welcome to those who are new. I hope you like it here. And please continue to support my channel in whatever ways that you feel led to. Everything that you do for me and for this channel counts. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day and a good year, and goodbye.